Hey, what's going on, guys? A couple days ago, I made a video on Jamahal Hill, who was reacting to Ariel Helwani versus Chael Sonnen. And Jamahal Hill, in that interview, lobbied out some thinly veiled threats. And I really don't think it is appropriate for a trained fighter to be lobbying out thinly veiled threats to a MMA media member just because they don't like the way they talk or ask questions. It's not like it's anything super extreme. And in this case, it's Ariel Helwani discussing Francis Ngannou with Chael Sonnen. But because Jamahal Hill has to follow internet trends and wants to grow his YouTube channel while he's injured, he had a comment on this. And the way he discussed it, I thought was so embarrassing. But I thought that was going to be it. I thought that was going to be my only video on Jamahal Hill, at least for the time being, unless something big popped up or a fight or something popped up. But then last night I'm doing a live stream, and one of Jamahal Hill's buddies comes into my live stream and basically starts trying to intimidate me on live stream. And I realized that almost immediately, within a couple minutes of him entering my live stream, I exposed him on live stream. And then I thought to myself, you know what? I should make a video on this, because even though I hate the TMZ-esque type of MMA content creation nowadays, I feel like you can't let stuff like this slide. Because to try to intimidate someone because you don't like what they're saying online, I think, to steal Jamahal Hill's words, I think it constitutes an ass whooping. Where I come from, it constitutes an ass whooping. So I think this guy deserves to be exposed. If Jamahal Hill sent this guy, Jamahal Hill's an outright embarrassment. He deserves to be called out. But even if he didn't, Jamahal, you need to get your friends in check, because that's a straight up embarrassment. But then also I realized Jamahal Hill did another video on Ariel Helwani. So I figured, well, why not react to that video as well within this video? Because there's a couple notable things he said in there I'd like to dissect and now give my opinion on, since now I got to cover this topic again because you have some clown coming to my live stream and trying to intimidate me because he doesn't like the way I talk about Jamahal Hill. Now, before we get into the interview of, or not the interview, the clips from Jamahal Hill's, YouTube channel where he talks about Ariel Helwani again, I want to discuss one thing I put out on Twitter, because I forgot to mention this in my original video, and I'll link that original video down in the description if you want to go check it out for context to this. I'll link Jamahal Hill's videos down in the description if you want to go subscribe to his channel. I highly encourage you to. He's trying to grow his YouTube channel. But I tweeted out and I said something along the lines, I'll put the tweets on the screen, and I said, Jamahal Hill wouldn't dare speak to me the way he speaks to Ariel Helwani, because where I come from, that constitutes an ass whooping. Then I added a second tweet on top of that, and I said, attention, this is not a threat. I'm just making you aware. And I absolutely loved how much shit I got for this. And I intended to get a lot of shit for this. And I know people are probably saying, see, you're just looking for attention and you're just looking for engagement. First off, I don't make any money off Twitter. I say what I want on Twitter. And the reason I said this is because I just repackaged Jamahal Hill's words. Jamahal Hill used those same exact words almost verbatim against Ariel Helwani. And I thought it was an embarrassment. I think to talk to someone like that online is an embarrassment, especially when you're a UFC champion or former UFC champion and you're lobbing these threats at media members because you don't like the way they ask questions. And I love the backlash I got for it, because guess what? The same people who gave me backlash for those tweets are the same people standing up for Jamahal Hill when I criticize him for those exact same words. So the irony was hilarious. I thought it was, one of the funniest things that I've done in recent memory, just because it proved my point. Everyone who responded to that, if you're watching this right now, thank you very much. I appreciate you so much, because you proved my point 100%. Now, first off, for a couple minutes, we're going to respond to Jamahal Hill's recent video, which kind of has bearing on my last video a bit. And then we're going to look at his buddy who came into my live stream and was like trying to harass me, intimidate me because he didn't like the content I put out surrounding Jamahal Hill. So let's take a look at Jamahal Hill's recent YouTube video that he put out. Let's start right here.
In the reels. Because regardless of what anybody says, I haven't threatened to do anything to anybody. It's actually astonishing to me that you actually have to that I actually have to explain the code of men that everybody knows. There's a certain underlining whenever men are sitting somewhere and we're cohabiting a space together, right? We understand that, hey, I'm not going to do certain things to this person because there could be an altercation.
This is just a word salad. It's just trying to cover his tracks. I didn't threaten anyone. Well, I can't wait to look at those messages from his buddy on my live stream, because those come off as threats. But it's just, this is a word salad. It really makes no sense. And it's just like, men cohabitating together. There's certain things. Oh, yeah. God forbid if Ariel and Yuri and Jamahal Hill were in a room and Ariel asked him, oh, do you think Pereira's a better fighter than Jamahal Hill? Oh my God, the world's going to end. Jamahal Hill's going to have to stab him for sure. Just makes no sense. And there's a lot of gibberish throughout this, couple minutes we're going to watch from Jamahal Hill's YouTube video, which I will link below if you want to check out the full context. There's like 6 minutes talking about fights and the other like 15 minutes is talking about Ariel Helwani.
But apparently some of y'all was raised by bitches and raised to be pussies, and you don't fucking understand this.
First off, for talking about people shouldn't be disrespectful online, you basically just said everyone that disagrees with you, their mother is a bitch. Okay? Oh, and you're a pussy. Jamal, I don't know if you don't have friends that are willing to tell you this, but being a professional MMA fighter and getting this butthurt over a media member's questions to another fighter, that is pussy. And then to come on your YouTube channel and act all gangster, I'm such a badass, where I come from, this and that. Okay, we get it, bro. We get it. You're from Detroit. Congratulations. You're a badass. You're from Detroit. I'm happy for you. You're UFC champion. Congrats. But stop acting like this. This is embarrassing.
And you want to feel, and you feel that you want to, oh no, I should be able to say whatever I want. And if you do, and if you think you can fight just because you're weak.
I'm not even sure what he's saying. Did anybody understand that? Do we need a translator? And yes, everyone should be able to say whatever they want. It's not like anyone's seeking you out and harassing you on a daily basis or showing up at your house. That's not what's going on here. You're watching an interview that you're not forced to watch, and you're crying about it online.
I don't understand that way of thinking. I'm not even going to try.
Well, then don't talk about it then. That's it. Don't talk about it. Don't get all butthurt over nothing.
You know what I'm saying? Just because that's just some ignorant shit, and it's not an efficient way to live. Me personally, I'm not gonna sit up and go around fucking with people and then hope that they just don't do anything to me. That's crazy.
No one's going around and fucking with you. He's not following you around. He's doing interviews on his own YouTube channel for a company that he works for. Calm down, bro. Stop getting all upset over nothing. It's literally nothing.
You get what I'm saying? But anyways, again, Ariel just can't keep my name out of his mouth.
And you can't keep his name out of your mouth as well. He's a media member covering MMA. There's a light heavyweight title fight coming up this weekend. Of course he's going to discuss you. Calm down, Jamahal Hill. Calm down. You're the one, every other day you got to make a YouTube video about him.
It's funny how everybody, well, not everybody, how so many people in his fan base and this guy himself tries to play the victim all the time when he can't help but subliminally send shots at me. And people keep sending this shit to me.
Okay, people keep sending the shit to you. He's not seeking you out. He's not tagging you in this. And if Jamahal Hill, and he goes on later in this video, we're going to skip through it a little bit. He goes on later in the video to kind of watch some clips from Ariel Helwani and kind of pick it apart a little bit and give his thoughts on it. If he did that every single day, if he did 45 minutes of content every single day, just saying, this is what Ariel's saying, I disagree with it, just like the same reaction I'm doing right now, I would have zero problem with it. That's his prerogative. It's not the best look for a UFC champion, but that's what he's entitled to do. He's entitled to give his own opinion. The problem in lies is when you have a problem with it, and then while you're kind of breaking it down, you're now kind of lobbing out threats. That's the embarrassing part of this whole situation. But again, he's saying these aren't threats, but I mean, you know how they sound. And if I say them the same way, people think I'm threatening Jamahal Hill.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like he had Yuri Prohashkar on, and I'm gonna be real. This ain't even a shot at Ariel. I'm not even I ain't even really talking to Ariel in this. This message is to Yuri. You know what I'm saying? Yuri, Ariel is not your friend, bro.
Okay, I'm sure Yuri is gonna want to hang out with you after you guys fight. Congratulations. Now let's skip ahead. Because he breaks down some of the interview, and honestly, if he did this, I have no problem with it. Ariel does do certain things that are going to annoy you a little bit, the way he asks questions. That's fine if you want to say, look, I don't like this. Break it down on your YouTube channel. Get plenty of views. Get plenty of subscribers. But stop with the threats. You're an MMA fighter. You're a champion. Have some integrity. It's embarrassing. But let's skip ahead, because there's a part of this where I really thought that Jamahal Hill was actually kind of making sense a little bit. He was kind of making sense here. And hold on, let me see if I can find it. It is right about here.
The jig is up, bro. Nobody is buying this shit. Nobody is buying the oh, I'm just nice. I'm just a guy for the fighters and things like. You're not, bro. You have your favorites, you have your picks, you have people that you like to take shots at and people that you like to up and try to use to get on your side while you take these shots so you have some type of support doing this shit.
Again, I have no problem with him criticizing Ariel. I'm not going to get into semantics of if every one of these statements is true. Ariel does do some of these things, but criticize him. Don't threaten him online. It's embarrassing. Let's continue.
It's some slimy ass shit rather than just talking to people, getting on that real level, like how you claim you want to know about the fighters, give the fighters a platform and shit like that. When every chance you get, you're shitting on a fighter or you're shitting on somebody who's actually helping the sport or on top of the sport, making the sport grow. Like,
I hate this narrative, and every MMA YouTuber should agree with me on this, because there's this narrative, if you don't fight, if you don't train, if you don't fight in the UFC, you can't say anything about MMA. And that's just not true. Ariel's helped building the sport. He has helped build the sport for many years. He can have his opinion. We can disagree with his opinion. I've disagreed with many of his opinions. I don't even watch his content. I'm not even a fan of Ariel. But the fact that we're just going to pile on to a guy because historically we haven't liked some of the things that he's done, it's just, I just can't subscribe to that. I can't subscribe to it at all. And the way Jamal's coming off here is, if you're not a UFC fighter, if you're not a UFC champ, if you don't train MMA, you're not allowed to have an opinion on it. That's what I took from here. But for the most part, I'm okay with these criticisms of Ariel. They're perfectly fine. Just keep the threats out of it. Let's continue.
You're like, you're in real talk. I don't have any problem with anything that Yuri said. After that, Yuri did everything he can to kind of back himself out and pull himself out of it. He doesn't want to talk about this. These aren't conversations he wants to have. Right?
I don't know. I don't know if Yuri's actually thinking about it that in depth. Yuri speaks broken English, but okay. Ariel's trying to stir the pot. He historically tries to stir the pot. That doesn't mean you need to threaten him online.
He has a certain code of respect. Ask Yuri why he doesn't he doesn't go around disrespectful. He has no reason to fear a fight with anybody, but yet and still he still don't go around disrespecting people and saying crazy things to people. Because I guarantee you he understands there's an underlining of an altercation happening.
Here you go again. There's an underlying of an altercation happening. Jamahal Hill got criticism from Ariel and others about the way he reacted to Dana White at 53 years old in a club in Mexico smacking his wife. And Jamahal Hill's response was, everyone should keep their hands to themselves and then nobody would get hit. Essentially defending Dana White, okay? I think Jamal got a little bit too much heat for it, but at the end of the day, shouldn't he keep that same energy? Why is it only keep your hands to yourself when you're defending Daddy Dana from smacking his wife? You're only okay with keeping your hands to yourself when a man smacks his wife in a club in Mexico at 53, but you're criticizing her. You're not criticizing him because you're saying, oh, she shouldn't have hit him first. But now someone's asking questions you don't like, and now all of a sudden it's like, oh, the underlying threat of violence. It just makes no sense.
And he doesn't want to be caught up in those. Neither do I. That's why I'm saying, like, bro, be respectful. You show respect, you get respect. It's just that simple. The fact that this is a concept that has to be spoon-fed to y'all, I don't know what it is or what, that just because I say some shit that everybody clearly knows and should respect, it's always got to be tried to flip and turn some way to where I'm a bad guy or I'm some type of piece of shit or I'm some type of this, that, or the other.
If you're threatening violence, this isn't about Jamahal Hill, okay? This is not about Jamahal Hill. This is about anyone. If you're threatening violence against somebody because you don't like some of the things that they say online, unless they're habitually stalking you and harassing you or a family member, obviously there's extremes that people can make examples. But for the most part, if you lie somewhere in the middle, if you're threatening violence or even hinting at the threat of violence because somebody says something you don't like online, you're a piece of shit. Okay, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm not going to sit on the fence and say, oh, I'm not really trying to say this or say that. If you're threatening violence to somebody because you don't like what they're saying, you were a pussy, you were a bitch.
And it's just weird, bro. It's just weird, bro. And this is a consistent thing. This is how he does. This is how Ariel does. This is how he's done for years. Quentin Rampage Jackson, the Diaz brothers, like the list goes on of beasts that he's had throughout time. That's how he grows his platform. That's how he grew his platform. That's how he stays on his shit.
He asks questions the fans want to hear, even if they're uncomfortable. He's one of the best he's the best interviewer in MMA. I don't even like Ariel. I don't even watch his interviews for the most part. But the fact is, he makes it interesting because he has such a platform. He's grown so much in the sport because he's been around for so long. He doesn't have to beat around the bush. He doesn't have to be scared to ask certain questions. And no matter what, you hate Ariel Helwani, he asks questions that people want to hear. Whether you agree with them, whether you think they're slimy or not, that's what Ariel Helwani does.
By smudging dirt that because people love drama. That's why a lot of you guys are going to watch this, because you want to see drama. You know what I mean? But for me personally, I'm just talking. I'm just addressing. Like, this ain't beef to me, bro. You know, people make all these jokes like, oh, about where I'm from. Like, y'all don't know the life that I came from. Y'all don't know the life that I done lived or none of that shit.
We get it. You're from Detroit. We get it.
You know what I'm saying? From my experiences and the things that I went through. It's funny how everybody wants to be respected, like, oh, I deal with this in life and that in life, and want some type of, but whenever I tell you, like, I have certain experiences that make me view things a certain way, y'all take that shit and think it's a fucking joke. And it's not. This ain't beef. Where I come from, beef is real, bro. This does not constitute no beef. This is just chatter, banter, content. Where I come from, beef, people die.
I wish he would have stopped right here. This was fine. He admitted it. We're just doing this for content. We're doing it for banter. I'm doing it to grow my YouTube channel. I wish he would have stopped right here. I could agree with him. I could subscribe to this. You're just getting into some banter back and forth because you don't like some of the words he's saying, but some of the things that you said have been an embarrassment. But let's carry on and watch the end of this.
I done buried a lot of my peoples behind beef. So beef is not how I would describe any of this, because it ain't that serious. You know what I'm saying? Understand, bro, when you talk to certain people, everybody not going to respond the same way. Everybody don't care about going to jail. Everybody don't care about paying for consequences and things like that. You could be one of those people, so you can then talk reckless. But that doesn't change the fact that eventually a consequence could come.
So there you go. I wish he would have stopped 30 seconds earlier. I really wish he would have stopped 30 seconds earlier, because then he says, well, this people might not care about. It's again like thinly veiled threats. I wish he would have stopped earlier. Why are you making these types of, statements? It just sounds horrific. Oh, people got buried over beefs. And so who in this conversation is going to kill someone because, he asked Yuri if he thinks Pereira is a better fighter than Hill? He asked Yuri how he felt about your last tweet. Like, calm down, dude. It's not that serious. You just said it. It's not that serious. So why are you acting like the narrative is, I'm warning, because this is what Jamahal Hill's really telling us. He's saying, I'm warning Ariel Helwani because some people would take this much more seriously than I'm taking it. That's what he's saying. I don't get, why is he warning him? If you don't like him, why are you warning him? Let him do what he wants. If he's got to suffer those consequences one day, let him suffer those consequences. But what's crazy about this is he acts like this isn't beef, this isn't a big deal, I'm not threatening anyone. But then you have his buddy, who I exposed badly on my live stream. The live stream's still up. Come into a live stream and basically start threatening me. Now let's take a look at the messages that he left in my live stream, okay? These are the messages he left in my live stream. Putting Jamahal Hill in the title for clicks, weirdo. Where are you from? Got an address? All talk behind a computer screen. What state do you live in? Those are the messages that he sent me. And at first I'm like, I didn't think nothing of it. It's just people being weird online. Didn't care that much about it. But then I'm like, who is this guy? This name kind of, he looks like he's got a professional picture. Let me take a look at his profile. And I took a look at his profile, and this is what I see. And I don't have a screenshot of it, but in his community tab, he links to a live stream. It's clearly him. This is clearly the guy. And I'm like, you know what? Let me look up this guy's Instagram. I'm curious what this guy's Instagram looks like, because he's asking where I live, what's my address. He's saying I'm all talk behind a computer screen. This is an intimidation tactic. He wants to come to where I live and make me pay because, oh, God forbid I talked about Jamahal Hill and Jamahal Hill for clicks. calm down. I don't get any views off of Jamahal Hill's name, to be honest. I mean, Jamahal Hill isn't some massive star. I'm doing this because I like to cover what I think should be covered, and especially narratives that aren't covered. That's why people always say, oh, Joey, you're a contrarian. You always just go against. No, I make videos when I say, okay, nobody's covering this. Nobody's talking about it from this angle. I like to make those types of videos. So that's why I made the Jamahal Hill video, not for clicks, not because it's going to get me some massive amount of views. But, of course, you can claim this is a clout chase. I get it. I get it. You can make the same narrative, whatever. I have to make this video because this guy's an embarrassment. We're going to take a look at his Instagram in a second. But before we get to his Instagram, I want to say, if you're threatening anyone online, if you're trying to intimidate anyone online and saying, oh, I'll come to your house, I'll whoop your ass, I'll do this and that, you're all talk behind a computer screen, you're trying to intimidate someone, you're a bitch. You're a pussy. That's what I have to say. This guy right here, Quan or whatever the hell his name is, you're a pussy. You shouldn't be. I got 12 going on 13,000 subscribers. You're worried about what I say? Because your friend Jamahal Hill, and supposedly this is like Jamahal Hill's podcast producer or some shit. You're that worried? You're literally like a 60-year-old man. You're that worried that some guy with almost 13,000 subscribers said, oh, I don't like that this MMA fighter's threatening a media member. Fuck you. Fuck you, asking for my address. You want to come to my house? You want to come to my house? Okay, we'll talk about that in a minute. Let's get to his Instagram. Before I go to his Instagram, I do not want to encourage anyone to harass him. I don't want anyone to bother this guy. I don't want anybody to message him. I don't want anyone to comment. I just want to expose this guy and how I realized, okay, I confirmed that was his YouTube channel. Now I said, let me go to his Instagram. So let's take a look at his Instagram. I do not want anyone to harass this guy at all. Let's take a look at his Instagram now. So you look at his Instagram. Oh, boom, right here. Picture with Jamahal Hill. Picture with Jamahal Hill right there. Then you go back, you scroll down, look at this guy. Oh, picture with Jamahal Hill's shirt on. And look at the background. It's Jamahal Hill's background. You scroll down a little bit more. Look at this clown. This guy's like 50, 60 years old. He's worried about where I live because you're Jamahal Hill's buddy. You don't like what I had to say. Apparently he's his podcast producer. Apparently he runs the studio where Jamahal Hill records his podcast. And this guy, Quan, I don't know. Maybe he's drunk. Maybe Jamahal Hill sent him. Maybe he didn't. But to act like this when you're 50, 60 years old, you're going to try to intimidate me. That's what you're going to try to do, intimidate me. Let me just say this right now. Jamahal Hill's not issuing threats. He's not issuing any violence against anyone. If Jamahal Hill wants my address, message me on Instagram right now. I will give you my address, Jamahal Hill. Because guess what? You're going to show up at my house? You're going to show up on my front porch? Is that what you're going to do? Well, I'll just tell you, look, let's all keep our hands to ourselves. Or does that only apply when you're defending Daddy Dana White from slapping a woman? Does that only apply then? Because if you're sending this guy, I'm not going to sit here and act like Jamahal Hill definitely sent this guy. Because this guy might have done it on his own. He might have thought, oh, this guy won't even know who I am. Maybe that's the truth. Maybe he's drunk. Maybe it's something like that. I'm not offended by this. I just don't think you can let this type of shit slide. Because there's a lot of people in the MMA community, in the MMA media space, who say a lot of things, who a lot of fighters are going to disagree with. And if you let these types of people bully you into not saying those things, we don't have any decent MMA coverage. Look at Ali Abdelaziz. He goes out of his way to try to intimidate actual MMA media members because he doesn't like what they say about his clients. And if you're any type of MMA YouTube content creator and you support the intimidation of a YouTuber just because the fighters don't agree with what they have to say, whether you agree with me or not, then I don't know what to tell you, because that's a massive hypocrisy. Because if Jamahal Hill's doing this, what happens when it happens to somebody else? He's basically threatening me. He's threatening to come to my house. And again, I will give you my address. I will give you my address. Jamahal Hill, just message me. Just message me. If that's what you want, if you want to come to my house, you want to take time out of your busy schedule of sitting front row at Power Slap, at your busy schedule of riding around on your scooter at the Apex, if that's what you want to do, you want to show up at my house, you're more than welcome to. But if not, you need to talk to your guy, okay? You need to talk to your guy. It's not that serious. It's just banter. It's not that serious. I just don't think the way you're making these certain statements, I just don't think you should be making these statements, because I believe it's embarrassing. You have every right to say it, though. You have every right to say it. You have every right to criticize Ariel. I agreed with half of what you said criticizing Ariel. Do that, but don't say, oh, where I come from, people like that, this constitutes an ass whooping. Where I come from, there's people getting buried for this. It just doesn't sound right. And I don't know if you mean it that way. I don't know if it's just, you're trying to figure out how to compose your videos, and this is just some of the stuff that comes out because you're trying to, make it interesting. It's embarrassing for a UFC champion who's sitting on the sideline, who has a torn Achilles, who I hope is recovering quickly. You're just sitting on the sideline, and now it's like, oh, this dude has nothing better to do than harass people online. That's the way it comes off of. That's just the way it comes off as. And I just don't think anyone should stand for it. You need to talk to your guy, your producer of your podcast, whoever he is. Tell him he's a bitch. Tell him don't harass guys who have 12 to 13,000 subscribers who all they said were, oh, these statements from Jamahal Hill were embarrassing, because everyone is entitled to their opinion. That is where I'll end this video. I think everyone is entitled to their opinion. If Jamahal Hill wants to call me ugly, he wants to call me fat, he wants to insult me, that is his right. But you don't ever need to insinuate physical harm on somebody because you don't like the way they discuss a certain topic. You don't need to act like, oh, I'm going to show up at your house. Oh, this and that. And I think one thing Jamahal Hill is missing with this whole entire online troll situation that he's kind of talking about, I don't think anyone should ever be seeking somebody out and harassing them. Like, let's say I'm making these videos about Jamahal Hill, and let's say I'm tweeting at him, tagging him every single day. I'm tagging him on Instagram every single day. I think that's horrible behavior. I make these videos. I give my opinion. I'm not going out of my way to force feed them to Jamahal Hill. Ariel Helwani's not going out of his way to force feed them to Jamahal Hill. So it's a different thing than somebody harassing you or somebody in person showing up at your house or somebody bothering you in day-to-day life. That's a different circumstance. But me making a video saying, oh, I think these statements are embarrassing, and then you're like, oh, what state do you live in? What's your address? I just think it's completely embarrassing. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And thank you so much for watching.